They are people with a lot of influence, a lot of money.
Gangster's paradise.
The baddest of the bad.
The baddest of the bad.
While Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos build empires through innovation, another class of billionaires amassed fortunes through blood, violence, and criminal genius. These aren't just ordinary criminals, they're the masterminds behind shadow empires, so vast their wealth would make Wall Street executives blush. Today we're diving into the dark underworld of the 5 richest criminals in history, whose blood money-funded lifestyles so lavish they make modern billionaires look modest. From burning millions in cash just to keep warm to owning fleets of Boeing 747s, these criminal fortunes will shock you. Pablo Escobar, the $30 billion cocaine king. At his peak, Pablo Escobar wasn't just wealthy, he was sitting on a fortune of $30 billion. That's more than the entire GDP of some countries. The Colombian drug lord controlled an unbelievable 80% of the global cocaine market in the 1980s, bringing in around $420 million every single week. Can you imagine that? $420 million every single week. But here's where it gets truly insane. Escobar's wealth wasn't just numbers on paper. His extravagance was the stuff of legends. He owned 141 mansions across Colombia, each one filled with priceless art and luxury furnishings that would make a Saudi prince jealous. His primary estate, Hacienda Nápoles, wasn't just a home, it was a 7.7 square mile compound featuring a private zoo with hippos, giraffes, and exotic birds. I mean, who needs a pet dog when you can have a personal safari, right? And get this, when his daughter complained about being cold one night, Escobar didn't just turn up the heat or buy her a sweater. No, he literally burned $2 million in cash to keep her warm. That's not a typo. $2 million in actual cash, set on fire like it was newspaper. The scale of Escobar's operation was so mind-boggling, it's almost comical. His Medellin cartel spent $2,500 monthly just on rubber bands. Why? Just to hold all their stacks of cash together. They were losing about 10% of their money each year, roughly $2.1 billion, to rats eating the bills or water damage in their storage facilities. Imagine being so ridiculously rich that rats could eat $2.1 billion of your money and you'd barely even notice. But wait, there's a dark side to all this wealth. Escobar's plata o plomo approach, meaning silver or lead, take the bribe or take the bullet, led to the deaths of thousands, including police officers, judges, and journalists. He orchestrated the bombing of Avianca Flight 203, killing 107 innocent people, just to target a single politician who wasn't even on board. Despite his Robin Hood image among some Colombians for building housing projects and soccer fields in poor neighborhoods, Escobar's legacy is one of bloodshed and corruption that destabilized an entire nation. But speaking of criminal innovation, let's talk about the man who took drug trafficking to new heights. Literally. Amato Fuentes, the $25 billion Lord of the Skies. While Escobar may be the most famous drug lord, Amato Fuentes might have been the most innovative. Known as El Señor de los Cielos, which translates to the Lord of the Skies, Fuentes didn't just smuggle drugs. He revolutionized the entire industry by using a fleet of Boeing 727 jets to transport cocaine from Colombia to Mexico for distribution to the United States. At his peak, Fuentes commanded a fortune of approximately $25 billion. His Juarez cartel was moving several tons of cocaine each month, generating profits that would make legitimate airline CEOs weep with envy. Can you imagine owning more planes than some small country's entire air forces just to transport illegal drugs? What made Fuentes truly unique wasn't just his violence, it was his business acumen. This guy wasn't just a criminal, he was a logistics genius who understood supply chain management before it became a buzzword in business schools. By controlling the air transport routes for Colombian cocaine, he effectively created a monopoly that allowed him to dictate terms to suppliers and distributors alike. It's like he was running Amazon Prime for cocaine decades before Jeff Bezos revolutionized shipping. His luxury lifestyle? Absolutely off the charts. He owned a collection of homes across Mexico, each more opulent than the last. His main residence in Mexico City featured gold-plated bathroom fixtures and a private art collection worth millions. And that's nothing compared to his fleet of armored vehicles. Custom Mercedes-Benzes and bulletproof suburban SUVs with satellite phones, which was cutting-edge technology back in the 1990s. But here's where the story takes a wild turn. Curio Fuentes met his end in 1997 during a plastic surgery procedure intended to alter his appearance and help him evade capture. The operation went catastrophically wrong, leading to his death at age 42. Even in death, his extravagance continued. His funeral featured a solid mahogany casket with gold inlays, reportedly costing over $450,000. That's a $500,000 box that literally gets buried in the ground. His death triggered a violent power vacuum in Mexico's drug trade, leading to years of escalated cartel violence that continues to plague the country today. But while South American drug lords often dominate conversations about criminal wealth, our next billionaire criminal took a completely different approach. Dwood Ibrahim, the $6.7 billion crime lord of Mumbai. Dwood Ibrahim built his $6.7 billion empire through diversification that would impress any MBA graduate. As the leader of D Company, Ibrahim transformed a small-time Mumbai gang into a transnational criminal syndicate operating across South Asia and the Middle East. What's fascinating about Ibrahim is his criminal portfolio. It's like the world's most illegal investment fund. We're talking drug trafficking, arms smuggling, counterfeiting, extortion, and terrorism. But what really sets him apart is his seamless integration of criminal enterprises with legitimate businesses. A money laundering operation so sophisticated that it's nearly impossible to distinguish his legal holdings from illegal ones. The guy basically invented criminal conglomeration. His luxury real estate portfolio would make a high-end broker drool, spanning multiple countries with properties in Dubai, Pakistan, and across India. His primary residence in Karachi, Pakistan, isn't just a home. It's a fortified compound with security that rivals that of heads of state. And his collection of luxury vehicles? We're talking rare Rolls-Royces and armored Mercedes-Benzes that would make a billionaire car collector green with envy. Ibrahim's notoriety reached its peak after his alleged involvement in the 1993 Bombay bombings, which killed 257 people and injured over 1,400. These coordinated attacks used RDX explosives smuggled through Ibrahim's network and represented one of India's deadliest terrorist incidents. But here's the most shocking part. Unlike Escobar and Curio Fuentes, Ibrahim remains at large to this day, reportedly living under protection in Pakistan while running his criminal empire remotely. He appears on Interpol's wanted list and was designated a global terrorist by the United States in 2003, with a $25 million bounty on his head. That's right, there's a $25 million reward waiting for anyone who can help capture him, and still nobody's been able to do it. Ibrahim's continued freedom despite international manhunts demonstrates how wealth and political connections can shield even the most notorious criminals from justice. But before the South American cartels dominated the drug trade, there was another criminal kingpin who controlled an entire region's drug production. Kunga, the $5 billion opium king. Before Colombian cartels dominated the drug trade, there was Kunga, the Burmese warlord who controlled the infamous Golden Triangle's heroin production from the 1960s to the 1990s. At his peak, Kunga's fortune was estimated at $5 billion, built primarily through the opium and heroin trade. What made Kunga unique was his dual identity as both a drug lord and a freedom fighter. He positioned himself as a defender of the Shan people, an ethnic minority in Burma, now Myanmar, claiming that his drug profits funded their independence movement. This Robin Hood narrative helped him maintain support among local populations, despite the devastating impact of heroin addiction worldwide. Talk about a masterclass in criminal PR. Kunga's operation was vertically integrated in a way that would make even Amazon jealous. He controlled every aspect of the heroin supply chain, from the poppy fields to processing facilities to distribution networks. At his peak, his organization was responsible for 70% of the heroin entering the United States. That's not just cornering the market, that is the market. And you'd think someone operating in the remote Burmese jungle would be living rough, right? Think again. His headquarters featured surprising luxuries, including satellite television, modern medical facilities, and a fleet of vehicles. He maintained a private army of 20,000 well-armed soldiers, making him essentially the ruler of his own state within Burma's borders. The guy wasn't just a drug lord, he was practically running his own country. Unlike many drug lords who meet violent ends, Kunga surrendered to Burmese authorities in 1996, reportedly as part of a deal that allowed him to keep much of his wealth and avoid extradition to the United States, where he faced drug trafficking charges. He lived his final years in relative comfort in Rangoon, now Yangon, where he reportedly invested in legitimate businesses, including mining and construction. Kunga's legacy continues to impact Southeast Asia, where the Golden Triangle remains one of the world's primary sources of opium and heroin. But not all criminal wealth comes from drugs and violence. Sometimes it comes from a place you'd least expect. Bernie Madoff, the $17 billion Wall Street swindler. Not all criminal wealth comes from drugs and violence. Bernie Madoff built his $17 billion criminal fortune through what FBI agents called the most sophisticated white-collar crime in American history, a massive Ponzi scheme that defrauded thousands of investors over decades. As chairman of the NASDAQ Stock Exchange and founder of Bernard L. Madoff Investment Securities, LLC, Madoff didn't need guns or threats. He had something far more powerful: trust. He used his reputation and connections to attract billions from wealthy individuals, charities, and institutional investors. His promised returns were consistently above market averages, not dramatically high enough to raise immediate suspicion, but steady enough to attract those seeking reliable growth. But here's the shocking truth. Behind the scenes, Madoff wasn't making any legitimate investments at all. He was simply using new investor money to pay returns to existing clients. The classic structure of a Ponzi scheme. The difference was the unprecedented scale and duration of his fraud. We're talking about a scam that lasted for decades. Madoff's lifestyle reflected his immense wealth in ways that would make any Wall Street executive jealous. His real estate portfolio included a Manhattan penthouse worth $7 million, a beachfront mansion in the Hamptons valued at $3 million, and luxury properties in Palm Beach and the French Riviera. His collection of watches alone was worth millions, and he owned several yachts, including a 55-foot fishing vessel named Bull. Ironic name choice, don't you think? When the 2008 financial crisis triggered a wave of withdrawal requests that Madoff couldn't cover, his scheme collapsed like a house of cards. The final tally showed approximately $65 billion in paper losses, with actual cash losses of around $17 billion. His victims included charities, pension funds, and thousands of individual investors who lost their life savings. Madoff was sentenced to 150 years in prison in 2009 and died behind bars in 2021. Unlike drug lords who built their empires through violence, Madoff's weapon was trust, systematically betraying the confidence of people who believed in his integrity and expertise. His case led to significant reforms in financial regulation and forever changed how investors view wealth management services. But the most chilling part? There are probably other Madoffs out there right now running similar schemes that haven't been discovered yet. The dark side of wealth. These 5 criminals represent the dark side of wealth accumulation. Fortunes built not through innovation or value creation, but through exploitation, violence, and deception. Their stories serve as cautionary tales about the corrupting influence of money and power when divorced from ethical constraints. While their lavish lifestyles might seem glamorous on the surface, the mansions, the private jets, the gold-plated everything, each of these criminal empires left a trail of destruction in their wake. From drug addiction and violence to financial ruin for innocent victims, their wealth came at an incalculable human cost that no luxury mansion or private jet could ever justify. Today, most of these criminal fortunes have been seized, scattered, or lost. A reminder that ill-gotten gains rarely provide lasting security or happiness. The true cost of criminal wealth isn't measured in dollars, but in the lives destroyed along the way. So the next time you hear about a billionaire's extravagant lifestyle, it might be worth asking, where did that money really come from? Because as these 5 criminals prove, sometimes the price of extreme wealth is paid not by those who enjoy it, but by countless innocent victims who never signed up for the cost. If you enjoyed this glimpse into the world of royalty, Be sure to like this video and subscribe for more jaw-dropping insights into the lives of the wealthy elite.